Next stop, jolly old England here. Yes, sir. And now we're traveling into England. We're still driving, and we're in the town of Chester, England, as a matter of fact. Chester is a fine place, and there's lots to see, and there's the big clock up there above the bridge. It was set up there in 1897. And guess where we're headed for? The city walls. And there are, wait a minute, those aren't gents, those are ladies. That's Diane, and that's Carole, the two ladies on this trip here in Chester. What a fine place this is. And we're walking around and we're looking, we're seeing bobbies there on the street, and there are all kinds of interesting places to visit. And there's lots of greenery, which is something we're not used to because we're from Arizona. And in Arizona, we don't find a whole lot of greenery. King Charles stood on this tower quite a long time ago. That's right. So it's a very historic spot. And right there now standing in the wind and cold, and there's a lady who's putting out some flags because we're soon to discover that we're there on an interesting holiday. Look, they've got parades and people marching, and there's one of the marchers right there. And we're looking around, and this is the first time that we've been to jolly old England, and believe me, it is very jolly. We're having a good time here right now in Chester. The sun is going down, and one more day in our little guide to where we are. A man on a horse statue. Isn't that nice? You know, this is another series of my home movies. My name is Ray Lindstrom, and this is it. This is all from 1977. The four of us, Ron and Carole and Ray and Diane, all went to England and to Europe. So from here we travel across the English Channel and visit other things. But right now we are still in England, where they have lots of beautiful flowers. Ooh, and lots of colorful things to see. This is all on Kodachrome film, and it's pretty old, but you know, it's amazing how good that color stays. You don't find a lot of interior shots because it seems like the film was pretty slow in those days, and you had to have lots of lights to do interior. So just about everything we do, they're all exteriors here. A lot of rain, too, if you notice. A lot of rain, and it was a little nippy, even though this was in June actually. So, yep, got the umbrellas out today, that's for sure. Walking down those rainy streets. Here's Warwick Castle, one of my favorite places, and one of my favorite signs of all time: dungeon, torture chamber, and gift shop that way. Love that. Yep, Warwick Castle. We're also in the town of Bath, where they had, believe it or not, baths. Gee, wonder why they called it Bath. Well, we're not sure about that. Probably because you went there to take a bath. They had a lot of hot baths in Bath. It was a hot time in the old town tonight. Now, this is Stonehenge on our trip. And the interesting thing about this is, please don't deface the stones because they've been here for 3,000 years. And the fact of the matter was that in those days you could wander around the rocks in Stonehenge, all those pillars, and you could touch them. Nowadays it's all fenced off. You can't go in there anymore. But in 1977 you could go in there and make fools of yourselves, which is what we proceeded to do, of course, when I said, okay, I want lots of action for my movie cameras. Ron and Diane and Carole, please move around a lot. Stonehenge, right there where you could go and actually touch the rocks. Can't do that. Going down the road after our visit to Stonehenge now, and we're going to see one of the tallest and biggest cathedrals in all of Europe, and this is in Salisbury. Huge cathedral. This is our last stop before we go in and see what London is like today, which we're going to be surprised with, I must say. But right now we're at Salisbury Cathedral. And in a flash, we're in downtown London. And we did not realize that the exact day that we were there was the Queen's Jubilee Day and Parade, which was honoring her 25th anniversary of her coronation. And so they have the parade in which all the royal people, they're all in the parade. And, it's just one of those things. We just happen to be there. And we see all the coaches with all the various royals. And pretty soon, the Queen herself will be coming in that amazing gold coach that looks like it's straight out of Cinderella. This is downtown in London, and it's a real surprise. And there's that gold coach, and inside the coach is Queen Elizabeth. This is 1977, and she is in there, and she is riding along, and I tell you, it is a spectacular sight. Wow, just absolutely incredible. I think you see her in pink right there in that golden coach. This is the 25th anniversary of her coronation. Wow, phenomenal. There she is. We see the Queen on her first day. Oh, there's another queen. Two queens, as a matter of fact. Part of royalty. Carole and Diane, they're with us. Right there are the beef eaters. They're hanging around. And then, wait a minute. Sir, you're standing in front of my wife. Yes, there's Diane. The beef eaters. We're staying at the Duke's Hotel. There's the Duke's Hotel up there on the right. And the interesting thing about the Dukes was that we got there, and the luggage, the people who were just getting ready to leave, and it just so happened that it was King Faisal who had stayed at the hotel. No, it wasn't King, it was Prince Faisal in those days, from Saudi Arabia. And Ron said, "Oh, be sure to tell him when you see him that Ron Lundeen was here, because he went to school with Prince Faisal at Princeton." How do you like that? Isn't that amazing? Well, we're seeing all the other sights of London right now. You saw Big Ben. There's the Parliament building. There's standard red double-decker buses, of course. They're all over the place. And I tell you one thing, you're never at a loss to see things in London. Once again, Big Ben. We're on the grounds right there of Westminster Abbey. There is one of the big lakes in front of Buckingham Palace. And I believe that is Buckingham Palace. So we're going to go right now to see the changing of the guard, one of the great sights. And they're still having their parade, of course. And there's just a lot of things happening. Matter of fact, it's a pretty nice day because there's actually sun. You can see the sun is out today. And there's Buckingham Palace, and they're going in there. We're going to see the changing of the guard. And there's Ron. Look at Ron's a tall guy. Look at, he's above all those other people there. I'll tell you, it really draws the tourists. We've been to London many times. I probably now as I do this. Oh, they're doing some work, little extra work there on the Tower Bridge, and I must say that I've been to London now. I'm doing this in 2016. I've been to London probably 20 times. And, in these European countries, things don't change that much, as a matter of fact. Yep, we're going to get on the train now and go somewhere. Where are we going to go? Well, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we don't go to where I know where. We're taking a trip to the ferry, and now the ferry is going to take us across the English Channel to our next stop, which is a country across the English Channel. And I believe that our next stop might be that famous country known as, yes, well, we're not there yet, so we don't exactly know where it is, but I'm waiting for the title to come up, and there it is, and we are going to none other than the country of France. Ah, yes. Wait a minute, I'm doing Hava Nagila. That's not France, that's Israel. We're not going to Israel. We're going to France. I was trying to do the can-can. Oh, well. So we get there, and we take another train in to Paris, and then we get on a cab, and Carole has been studying French, so she tells the cab driver to take us to the hotel where we were staying, and boy, she had a tough time telling him where it was. It was very, very difficult, but we finally got there. And here we are. We're in France. We're in Paris, and we're looking at the sights. And I've been to Paris maybe 20 or 25 times over the last 30 or 40 years. And I mean to tell you, it doesn't look that much different. It looks about the same. The Arc de Triomphe, the same. The Eiffel Tower, the same. The Parthenon that you saw back there a little ways ago, the same. Not many things change in France. The traffic is bad, probably worse now than it was then. The famous Eiffel Tower, yeah, it's probably one of the most photographed items in the world, tourist attractions. It doesn't seem like there were many people there that day, but boy, there are always a lot of people at the Eiffel Tower. There's the Notre Dame Cathedral in the background, and here we're at one of the gardens. A lot of nice gardens there, the Tuileries probably. I believe that that is the Louvre, where they have all the great artwork. That's where the Mona Lisa is. There's Ron and Carole and Diane. You've seen them before, I think, on this trip, haven't you? Yes, we were on a bus for a while. Now we're on a boat. We're eating on a boat in the middle of the Seine River. We're all sane on the Seine. Yes, we are. Just having a great time on this European adventure. June of 1977. There's the Eiffel Tower. Oh, yes, and the bridge right in front there. You've heard of the glass bottom boat. This is the glass top boat. It certainly is. We're having a good time in Paris, France. So the weather's pretty nice, a little windy perhaps, a few clouds in the sky, but otherwise not bad, not bad. Our first trip to France. I was trying to think of the name of the hotel that we stayed at. It was over on Saint Honoré, I believe. Yes. There we are. Now we decided we're going to climb up to the top of the Eiffel Tower. Well, I don't think we made it to the top, the very tippy top, but we did get up to the second one. I see we're all worn out. I don't know whether we're on the first or second level there. Probably the second. Yes, I think we were very ambitious. We were young and in wonderful shape. What a nice view of the city from there. Everybody likes that and takes lots of pictures. Who's that? Is that Ron climbing? Oh no, I think that's a guy painting outside there. Wait a minute, we must be. How did I get this picture? Now don't tell me I climbed over and was hanging on the edge taking a picture of Carole. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, another beautiful view of the city of Paris. City of Lights. Now we're going to take the elevator to the very tippy top. The elevator, we're going all the way up there to the top. Yes, we are. Oh boy, a slow ride. There's the big television antenna on the top of the Eiffel Tower. You know, the Eiffel Tower was built for a big exposition in the late 1800s, and then after it was over, it was supposed to have been torn down. Well, guess they never got to it. People thought it was a very ugly thing at the beginning, but I think they've grown to like it over the years. One of the great attractions of France. We're at the very top now taking pictures of this. And now we're on our way down. Slowly we go down. Now I see that there are more people getting there. It's getting a little more crowded. The great Eiffel Tower. And the fountains out in front and the sides of the Eiffel Tower. Kids on skateboards, con artists, pickpockets, they're all gathering there today. This is out by our hotel. Matter of fact, that's where, the Hotel Vendôme. At least that's how you pronounce it in the United States, Vendôme. Probably pronounced Vendôme, who knows. But there are the girls, we've got our rental car, and we're ready to take our next trip out of here. From Paris, we go to Belgium. Whoa! We've got great excitement ahead. And you know what the #1 tourist attraction in Belgium is? Well, I hate to say it. It's me clearing my throat. Did I do that? Okay, well anyway, we're in Belgium here. And it was a rainy day. And it was interesting that we were there because it was only a year or two before that my parents left Belgium. My dad was the head financial officer of a company that had its offices in Brussels, Belgium. And so they lived there for a couple of years, and they grew to like the place. I think that this is the Grand Palace. But the #1 tourist attraction in Belgium, of course, is none other than the famous Mannequin P. That's spelled P-I-S, which if you look at it, it looks like piss. Well, guess what, folks? It's this little statue of a little kid taking a piss. Yes, a leak, urinating. Yes, that is the big tourist attraction. Now, in the 1958 World's Fair, there was the thing known as the Automium, and these people who were friends of my parents took us on a tour of the Automium, and it was very nice. They took, I don't think all four of us went. I think just Diane and I were on that tour. There was the lady, and her father was a German soldier, was killed in Russia in the early 1940s, and she was about our age, had little kids just like we did, and so they took us into this great thing known as the atomium, which of course was an atom molecule, and we took a ride up there, and it was very nice of the people to give us a ride. These are the kids, and now many years later, these children probably are grandparents. How about that? And here's the place where Mom and Dad lived, in an apartment in Belgium, in Brussels. And I thought that was very, very interesting. That's where they lived, all right. Kind of dark there. I think that probably you would be a little bit depressed. Now we're going outside, and this is Waterloo. And we're climbing the steps way up to the Lion at the top of Waterloo. I think this is where, you heard about Napoleon meeting his Waterloo. Well, guess what, folks? This was it. And it was right before we were getting ready to go to our next stop on our trip, the next country, which was a very, very tiny place. But in the meantime, let me take a lot of movie footage of a very dark and gray day in Waterloo. Very interesting. Oh, there's a tank. It says Bastogne on it. USA tank. Battle of Bastogne, one of those great little places that we heard a lot about during World War II. Where are we going next? 65 kilometers to a place called Luxembourg. There it is right there. There's our next stop. Little tiny country. And they had one great radio station in Luxembourg, as I remember. It's called Radio Luxembourg, and it was a top 40 station because he didn't get a lot of top 40 radio in the 1960s and 70s because they were all like government-controlled stations everywhere. And the kids who listened to the radio in England, for example, they had these pirate radio stations. Radio Caroline was one of them. There's our car. And they had a great radio station, Radio Luxembourg, who played rock and roll in the 1960s and 70s. But anyway, we're still driving that little yellow van. I bet you any money that behind the wheel is Carole, because she's, like I said before, our designated driver. There's Diane. And we're staying at our nice hotel called the Hotel Cravat, which was in the center of Luxembourg. And very nice place. Luxembourg was an interesting place. They had a very nice city park in the middle. And it was a great place to go and wander around. There they are at the Hotel Cravat. The two girls in Luxembourg had a wonderful time there. There it is. Yep. Luxembourg, little tiny country. Little tiny country with a lot of big surprises. There's the bridge over the park. Luxembourg. We're about to wave bye-bye to the city and go right on to a very big country next door, which was Germany. And here we are. We're crossing the border. Now, this was, of course, before the days when they had the European Economic Union, where you can go from one side to the other without any problems at all. You go from one country to another. Well, in those days, all those little countries, they had their own currency, they had their own borders, and they had their own border stops. So you had to go stop by every one of those places. Here we are on the Rhine River. And we went to some little places there. We were up by Cologne and thereabouts. And from there, we didn't stay too long in Germany because right there we were going to the Netherlands, which was our next stop. And the first place that we went to while we were in the Netherlands was a place called the Groot Warnsburg, which was a hotel way out in the middle of nowhere. Just one of those finds. And it was just a great spot, and we stayed there for a night. And it was just a fine hotel out in the forest. Look at this beautiful forest. It was fabulous. And this was in the Netherlands. And yep, got to gas her up, boy. And I bet gas was cheap in those days, wasn't it? Even though we thought it was expensive. We thought it was, but it wasn't. Ah, that's what I like to see. There's Carole driving and Diane washing the windshield. Very good. Let's keep those gals working. Here we are now. We're traveling a little further, and we went up to this town called Volendam, and we got there real late at night. And after seeing all the windmills and the boats and all the standard things that you would expect to find in the Netherlands, and this little town of Volendam, we stayed at the Hotel Van Diepen, and we got there late, and the only thing that was available to eat, and I remember that, were smoked eels on toast. Ooh, my goodness. Hey, let's get a picture of the garbage truck. That's good. That's always a great sight. Ronnie's taking pictures. I bet you he had 85 rolls, 36 exposure rolls of film on this whole thing. After we stayed at the Hotel Van Diepen, we stayed at a classier place called the Hotel Pulitzer in downtown Amsterdam. So right now we're in Amsterdam, and of course they have a lot of canals in Amsterdam. Had a good time, and saw all the sights. Not a lot of sights to see, but it's fun to travel around the city. One of the interesting things were there was a certain district where the working girls were in windows. They were like in store windows, you know, like you'd go and you'd look at merchandise and mannequins in a hotel, in a department store. Well, there they were, and you would pick out the girls that you wanted to have fun with from the store windows. Very, very unusual, I must say. They had good public transportation. I remember Ron and I getting on one of those trolleys and just going down the road and not paying or anything, but nobody ever said anything. And now we're on our way to the airport, the Ski Pole Airport, and so we say goodbye to a wonderful trip and good friends, Ron and Carole and Diane and Ray at the camera, and we say the end. Thanks for watching our European adventure.